seen it.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, and we were just talking about the Sinners and Saints segment. If you haven't heard that before, you need to listen to the show at different times or go to YouTube, because Mark will edit these videos into shorter segments, and then you can watch them when it's convenient for you, like when you're walking the dog or doing the dishes or brushing your teeth. You can learn about the law, what your hidden legal issue blind spots are. But this is the fourth segment, and so we like to talk about legacy.
And now, it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
Today, we're going to be talking about a couple of different things. Before the break, I told you that people that travel in this should get their affairs in order. And what do you think this is? What's been happening in the news that causes you some concern? Well, for me, I was thinking of planes. And it seems like, and I don't know if the statistics back this up, that there's been more plane crashes. And I hate to talk about it because I fly a lot, and, you know, when I was a kid, I was really worried about it. Now I don't worry about it so much because I have my affairs in order, and I know my family will be taken care of, and I know that I'll be in heaven because the sacrifice that Jesus made, saving me my sins and allowing me to be right with God. But I still want to bring it to everyone's attention because tomorrow's promised to no one. And so today we need to do what we can to make sure our affairs are in order, because it's the responsible thing to do. We have people who rely on us. We want them to remember us in a favorable light, at least. You don't want people thinking, why didn't he have a will? Or why didn't he have life insurance? Why didn't he get his affairs in order? This is a mess. It's frustrating. I'm upset. And now I'm grieving on all top of that. Another reason this came to mind is because of the plane crash with Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper. I think it was about this time of year. Well, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have the dates, but somebody posted something, said this is like an anniversary of their death. And so I thought of musicians traveling all the time. Musicians need to get their affairs in order, because even if you're in a bus, I mean, think of all the car accidents and the pileups around the big cities that you've heard of just this month. It's tragic, but I can't go without without saying something, because I don't want you to say I knew Todd, but he never said, getting a will was important or getting a power of attorney was important. I want you to at least know that and say, Todd was really obnoxious about having my will. He just would never let up, because then it's on you. If you know that information, you need to get it done one way or another. But anyway, that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it's been in the news, and I don't know if there's political reasons why there's plane crashes or not. That's not my gig. I'm just bringing you the hidden legal issue blind spot of, if you fly in a plane, if you drive in a car, you need to have the bare minimum: last will, living trust, power of attorney, medical power of attorney, directive to physicians, make sure people know what type of medical care you would want or not want if you were in a coma or a vegetative state. I'm going to get off my soapbox now because I don't want to beat a dead horse. There's something else in the news that you may not know about, and that's in regards to filing beneficial owner information reports with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, which is a department of the Treasury. I talked a lot about this over the past 2 years because there was a new law and a new regulation that said if you have an LLC, limited partnership, or any type of entity that you've created by filing with the Secretary of State, you had to file this beneficial owner information report unless you met one of the exceptions. And a lot of the exceptions were big businesses that were publicly traded or were banks or investment firms or nonprofits. All these other firms, they had to file things with the federal government anyway. So what does that leave? Small businesses, people who have LLCs for their rental properties. And so I wanted people to know of this new requirement so that they didn't get fined or jailed for having failed to do it. Well, just recently, March 2nd, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN for short, announced that, consistent with the Department of Treasury's March 2nd announcement, it is issuing an interim final rule that removes the requirement for U.S. companies and U.S. persons to report beneficial ownership information under the Corporate Transparency Act. So this is new. A lot of people were worried about this because putting their personal information, not just name, address, name of LLC, but also your social security number and your driver's license number and a digital image of your driver's license, had to go with this Department of the Treasury Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. And of course, the government says everything's safe. We know better than that. Everything's not safe. I mean, some things are safe some of the time, hopefully. But anytime you put your information out there, you know that it could be hacked by some foreign government or by some hacker. I don't know what else to call them. And here's another thing. Why should we have to prove that we're law-abiding citizens? The Constitution says that the government has to have a reason to question us. They have to have reasonable suspicion or probable cause that we've done something wrong. And so I didn't like this regulation from the beginning because I have to sign up with the government and give them my information so that they can contact me if they think that I've done something wrong. Well, no, if you think that I've done something wrong, you have to prove it. You have to get your subpoena, you have to get your warrant, and you have to prove to a judge that those things are needed. Not the other way around. I didn't want other laws to be built on this same precedent where law-abiding citizens in other activities, we have to prove that we're not guilty before there's even a suspicion of it. So a lot of my clients, were upset about this, frustrated and disappointed. Well, this administration, this Treasury Department says we don't have to do it unless you're from a foreign country. Then you still have this requirement. But if you were a U.S. citizen when you created this entity, then you're good to go, as far as this announcement goes. So I reserve the right to contact you again to let you know if the law changes again. There were lots of court cases. I talked about those. Whether this requirement was constitutional to begin with. And so you might remember me talking about the Corporate Transparency Act, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, the Beneficial Owner Information Report. I spent a lot of time trying to understand all of this so that I could tell you about it. And now it's just like, never mind. I want to let you know more about the show. Because you might just be tuning in. You may have just gotten in the car. And there's one thing that I really like to do that I haven't gotten to do a lot of, and that's talk about the gospel. I like to bring a pastor or theologian on the show, and I like to talk about, divorce or child custody or immigration or criminal defense or estate planning, and then ask the pastor theologian, what does the Bible say about this? If you know somebody who would love to be on the radio, podcast, YouTube, and Facebook, and knows a lot about the gospel, ask them, hey, do you want to be on the radio with Todd Marquardt on Talk Law Radio? We can have a really interesting conversation about what the Bible says and what the state law or federal law says too. And you can even look these episodes up. I've talked about some topics before, like divorce. Is divorce okay? Is it not okay? I talked about end-of-life issues like directive to physician. Is it okay to refuse life support? Talked about abortion. If that's a hot button for you, maybe you want to go to talklawradio.com and search for those archived episodes. Well, I'm having to end this segment again, but I thank you for tuning in. Please go to YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way we can keep in touch. And you can always post a comment. I always want to know what you're thinking. Just don't be mean to me, okay? And let me know what you want me to talk about. So I'm going to be talking more to mayoral candidates, City of San Antonio, running for mayor. Tell them to join me on Talk Law Radio. I'll talk to you later.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law Radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.